Hi, and welcome to Lamplighter Podcast. My name is Rebecca, and I have an exciting story for you today. Come and listen while I light the way to your imagination. Welcome back! I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday season. We have a fun story for you guys today.
But there's no presents in this story.
Well, no, there's no presents in this story, but it really is a fun story.
Oh, I just miss the presents. I wish every day was a present day.
That would be fun, but I wonder if you'd get bored of getting presents every day.
What? Bored of presents? Never! Hey, maybe we could start a new holiday called Present Everyday Holiday. Do you think I can do that?
Well, I'm not sure you can just start a holiday like that.
I'm going to start it, and I'm going to invite all my friends. Oh gosh, I'm so excited. I'm going to write the invitations right now. Goodbye!
But, Momo, that's not how holidays are started. Well, I think he's already gone. I guess we can just start our story today, and maybe we can check in with Momo a little later and see if his plan works. Our story today is about a little mouse who lives on a beautiful farm and finds himself in a very tricky situation. Once upon a time, there was a little mouse named Timothy who lived with his family in a tiny hole in a barn. Now, little Timothy had a big problem. He was scared of everything. When the wind shook the trees above the barn, he got scared. When an ant crawled up his tail, he got scared. When the humans came to feed the animals, he got scared. He tried very hard to be brave. He knew that all these things weren't really as scary as he imagined they were. But somehow, even though he knew that, he still felt scared. Timothy had a wonderful family, and right next door to his hole, living in an old wooden barrel, was his best friend Daisy. Daisy and Timothy were the same age, and they had a lot of fun together. Daisy was very different from Timothy because she loved to explore around the barnyard. She always wanted Timothy to come with her whenever she had discovered new and exciting places. He would come with her, but usually was pretty scared until he could make sure that it was safe. Then they would have fun and play. They'd wiggle through the fence to visit different barnyard animals. They'd find empty holes in the trees nearby and pretend they were their homes. And one time, they even climbed to the top of the barn, where they could see all the beautiful hills surrounding them. That adventure kind of scared Timothy. He didn't like being so high, but he was thankful for the view. Any time he would get scared and want to stay home, Daisy would just laugh and say,
"Oh, Timothy, if you don't try anything new, you won't have any fun in life. Now, come on."
One day, while Timothy was helping his mom make some corn soup in their house, Daisy came by and called,
"Hey, Timothy, I found a fun new place to explore. Why don't you come along?"
Timothy looked at his mom to see if she would let him go. She smiled at him and said, "That would be fine. Why don't you go out and play and I'll finish up supper?" Timothy washed his hands and ran out, following Daisy along the walls of the barn towards the door.
"Where's this new place you found?"
asked Timothy.
"Is it, dark in there? Are there, I don't know, spiders or scorpions or lions?"
Timothy was trying to sound brave and excited, but he was sure hoping that this new place was fun to explore and not scary.
"Lions? You silly little mouse! We don't have lions anywhere near here.
I'm not going to tell you where it is. I want it to be a surprise. Daisy jumped over an old shovel on her way out the door. Timothy safely scurried around the shovel and caught up with her. They ran through the long grass to the fence that surrounded the farm. All right, now we just need to follow this fence and then cut through the garden. The garden? Timothy said. But Daisy, sometimes the humans are in the garden, or the cats. Oh, those silly cats. I promise it'll be worth it. Then Daisy began running along the fence before Timothy could argue any more. He followed her, but began wishing that he was back at home making soup with his mom. He loved when Daisy took him to nice, safe places, like the little empty birdhouse they had found, or the quiet little brook where they had gone swimming last summer. But he was already feeling nervous about this trip. They arrived at the farmer's garden and began quietly crawling through, going closer and closer to the big white farmhouse. Finally, they jumped behind a bush next to the house, and Daisy pointed at a little hole in the wall. Here it is, she said. I found this yesterday, and it leads to a place full of delicious food. Come and see. I don't know, Daisy. This is the humans' house. I don't really like the humans. They scare me. Maybe we could just go back. Oh, come on. You can't go back now. I'm going in no matter what, and you don't want to be out here all by yourself, do you? She was right. Timothy looked back at the barn, which now seemed very far away. He knew he'd rather follow her than walk all the way back to the barn by himself. What if he ran into a cat, or a hawk, or a human? He turned back around just in time to see Daisy's tail disappear into the hole. Wait up, he said as he followed her into the dusty small space. They crawled forward in the dark, using their noses and whiskers to feel the way. They crawled over wires and pipes until they saw a little light ahead of them. They went towards it, and Timothy saw that it was a small hole where one of the pipes entered into the house. There was just enough room around it for them to squeeze through and into a small room. Oh, wow! Timothy exclaimed. He forgot to be scared for a moment because he had never seen anything like this. There were so many shelves full of food in this small room. Oats and flour and crackers, potatoes and cereals in cans. What is this place? He said. I don't know, but it has all the food we could ever want. I found some crumbs on the floor yesterday and I got stuffed. Let's see if there's some more. Timothy took one scared look at the door on the other side of the small room, hoping that no humans walked in, and then began sniffing for crumbs with Daisy. All of a sudden, there was a loud clang, and Daisy let out a scream. Timothy jumped high in the air and ran as fast as he could back towards the hole, hoping Daisy was close behind. He had no clue what that noise was, but he sure didn't want to find out. Before he got through the hole, though, he heard Daisy yelling for him. Timothy! Timothy, don't go! Oh, I'm stuck! How did this happen? It took all of Timothy's courage to stop and turn around. He couldn't believe what he saw. Daisy was stuck in a metal cage. She was running around trying to find an escape, but there was none. Timothy's fear began rising inside of him. His body felt completely frozen. Oh, Timothy, I'm stuck in a cage. What will we do? Daisy looked scared too, which wasn't normal for her. Then she looked straight at Timothy, who was still staring at her, frozen in fear. You have to go, she said to him. You have to go get our parents. They'll know how to get me out. You have to go, Timothy, and fast. Timothy remembered how far away the barn was. He remembered cats and humans and snakes and hawks. He never liked to go out on his own, and he'd never been this far from home on his own either. He shook his head. I don't think I can. I'm too scared, Daisy. You have to, Timothy. You can do it. I know you can. You can be brave. You can be brave for me. But you have to hurry. I don't know when the humans will come in here. Timothy knew she was right. He had to be brave for her. He still felt scared, so scared, but he felt his feet moving. He jumped through the hole and sniffed his way back to the outside. He stood behind the bush, looking across the garden. His heart was racing. Once again, he didn't know if he could do this. But then he remembered his best friend Daisy, stuck in a cage. He had to do this. It didn't matter how scared he felt. He ran out into the open and through the garden, looking everywhere for any kind of danger. He felt so small, but his feet kept going towards the barn, towards his parents. He made his way along the fence and finally through the entrance of the barn. From there, he ran as fast as he could and bounded into his home, yelling for help. His parents came running in and he explained everything to them. Then they hurried over and told Daisy's parents what had happened. Soon, all of the parents were on their way towards the house. They told Timothy to stay in the barn while they went and rescued Daisy. It was so hard to wait. He walked all around his house several times, waiting to hear the sound of someone coming, hoping they could get Daisy out. Finally, after a long time, he heard his front door open, and Daisy ran in. She ran right up to Timothy and embraced him in a giant mouse hug.
Timothy, you did it! You saved me!
Their parents came in, smiling at the two hugging friends. Daisy's parents came over to Timothy as well and gave him a big hug. "Thank you, little one, for being so brave and saving our Daisy," said her dad. "If you hadn't have run so fast, we may not have gotten there in time. Thankfully, I learned a long time ago how to open one of those mouse cages, so it was easy getting her out of there." Of course, the parents also had a long talk with their little mice about the dangers of going in a human house, and Timothy and Daisy promised never to venture there again. Afterwards, Timothy's mother served corn soup to everyone, and they all enjoyed a meal together. When they were done eating, Timothy's dad picked up his guitar and began playing a song for everyone.
When you live on the farm and you're a tiny little mousie, you gotta stay away from that farmer's housey. Oh, the world's so big and we're so small, we gotta be brave to face it all. Don't think you gotta be a strong superhero just in order to face your fears. You can still be brave, you can still be brave, even if you're small, you can still be brave.
Everyone clapped and laughed at the little ditty, glad the trouble was over. As his parents continued to talk, Timothy kept wondering about something. Everyone was calling him brave. He sure didn't feel any braver than he had before, and he certainly didn't feel brave when he was running back on his own.
Daisy,
Timothy whispered.
I really wasn't brave tonight, you know. I felt more scared than I ever have in my life when you got stuck in that cage. And I was scared the whole way home. I'm still a scaredy mouse. I just wanted you to be saved.
Daisy smiled at Timothy and shook her head.
You silly mouse. Of course you were brave. Being brave isn't about feeling brave. It's just about doing the right thing no matter how you feel. And that's what you did. In fact, I think you are probably more brave than other mice who aren't as scared as you because every day you choose to still go out and have adventures with me. It's easier for other mice who don't feel as scared, but you choose to be brave every day."
Timothy had never thought of it that way before, but he felt it was true. He wasn't a scaredy mouse. He was a brave mouse. Not only had he faced his fears when his friend was stuck in the cage, but he also faced his fears every day and often still chose to go have adventures and explore even when he was scared. He smiled at the thought. He had always thought of himself as just a little mouse facing a big, scary world, but now he was beginning to see he was still a little mouse, and the world often did have scary things in it. But if he chose to have fun and explore and enjoy this little piece of land that he lived in, that made him a very brave mouse indeed. I'm so glad Timothy realized that he was even more brave than he ever thought. It probably is hard being a little mouse in a big barnyard.
Kinda like it's hard being a little squirrel.
Why are you sad now, Momo?
Well, my friends told me that I can't start a holiday just by making invitations. They said it doesn't work that way. I just wanted to have fun.
Well, I have an idea. Why don't we throw a little party? You can have a party any time of year. Parties are always fun, especially if you invite your favorite friends.
Yeah, I love parties. I don't need to start a holiday. I just want to start a party. Okay, I'm gonna go make some more invitations. See you later.
Oh boy, there he goes again. Well, before I follow him, let's talk about our virtue in the story today. Today's virtue is bravery. Like Daisy said in our story, bravery doesn't always mean that you feel brave. It means that you do the right thing no matter how you are feeling. Sometimes when we watch movies or read books with heroes in them, we can think that being brave means you have to be big and strong and never feel scared. But the truth is, anyone can be brave. Big and strong people can be brave, and also small and scared people can be brave. All right, it's question time. Question 1. When do you feel scared? Question 2. What does it look like for you to be brave when you're scared? All right, kids, I'd better go find Momo and help him with his party. I hope you all have a wonderful week. See you next time for our next Lamplighter story. Thanks for listening to Lamplighter Podcast today. I hope you enjoyed Timothy the Barn Mouse. If you liked our story, please leave us a review. You can also consider supporting this podcast on Patreon.